welcome to the Sacred Window podcast. Here, we look closely at the intersections of the postpartum window, the Ayurvedic perspective on health and healing, and the universal mother principles that are the keys to giving and receiving effective care. Hello, I'm Christine Devlin Eck. I'll be taking you through interviews with professionals who are making a profound difference in the lives of their clients, conversations with individuals brave enough to share their stories of vulnerability as a way to lift up others, and my own journey through birth, parenting, caregiving, and building a conscious business. We are here to honor the sacred windows, the profound transitions in life that give it all meaning. Welcome to the conversation.
And I will never be the same again.
Welcome to the Sacred Window podcast. This episode is one that I'm doing on my own. It's coming out on Christmas. I know that so many of us are holding an incredible amount of extras during this season of light, the season of celebration, the season of expansion into the subtle, the generous, the opportunity for going deeper, whatever tradition we come from, whatever way we choose to experience this season, there's something unique, and there's an invitation that's happening here to kind of draw back from the bigness of it into what is actually going to make me experience the deepest connection possible with the people that I love, what is going to allow me to come to the closest part of myself and the universe, to God, to spirit, to creator, to whatever that divine energy is that we identify with. This is an opportunity to do that. And while I hope that each of us is going to have moments within this season to tap into that, it might be challenging. And today I wanted to share an episode, a conversation, an invitation to think about burnout. I feel like burnout has become an epidemic. It has become synonymous with caregiving. And while we all sort of acknowledge that it's there, and we all kind of struggle with it in our own way, I think that we can really come down to some very simple, actionable, intentional, deliberate ways of navigating burnout so that we don't experience it as that. It's okay to be busy. It's okay to be holding a lot. It's okay to have a lot on our plate, but we don't have to feel incapacitated. We don't have to feel badly about ourselves and what we're not able to do. What I'm learning as I move through this stage of life for me, which is so huge, as a person who has a lot of pitta dosha in my constitution, which gives me a lot of motivation to do a lot of things, I struggle at feeling badly about myself when I can't possibly complete even half, even a third sometimes of what I'll write down on my handy list. And then I constantly feel like there's not enough time in the day. And I know that many of you experience this as well. But what I want to invite us all to move into is an incredible opportunity to connect with the most vital and the most satisfying and the most meaningful things that are around us at every single moment. We may not be able to do 20 things, but we can do this one connection piece, which will make all of it seem not even that important, because we have this fire at the center that is healthy and blazing bright and moving us forward one intentional moment at a time. And this is what this episode is about. So, those of you who are professional caregivers, those of you who are caregivers for your family or anywhere in and around the birth work or doula field, you probably recognize that burnout is very, very real. And many people are short-lived in this profession. They're not lasting. And what I am so curious to really expand into, and we do this in our programs, is combating that trajectory with a real understanding of how caregiving is a reciprocal process. This is about my offering to you what is going to serve you most and what is going to offer you the best care in this very moment with I am coming from a place of being cared for, of feeling that I am acknowledged, that my structure around me is holding me, and my inner energetic is brightly burning to a place where I'm sustained. So through Ayurveda, through the principles of Ayurveda, through the principles of just honestly connecting with that divine source, which we have this opportunity to do, especially at this time of darkness, this is an opportunity. And I'm curious for all of you what your moment, what your story of depletion is, and what your story of restoration is. So maybe think about that and hold that with you as you listen today. I knew towards the end of being in Ayurveda school at Kripalu that I was going to be directing my work towards new parents and pregnant people and postpartum people. And when I finished studying, I immediately started doing some doula training, and I got trained as a birth doula while I was also studying Ayurvedic postpartum care with my teacher, Isha Oaks. And I had a very short-lived birth doula career. I, at the time, had two young children, and I I remember the weight of being on call and how this started to impact my entire family. I had to always have my husband on board and plans in place and babysitters lined up. At the time, my parents didn't live close by, and so we were really relying on childcare. And I had this constant uncertainty of, can I show up for this person in the blink of an eye when there's all these other people that require my presence? And while every single birth I went to was, I would leave feeling like, oh my gosh, that was miraculous. What an incredible honor to be there at this moment of complete life-changing action in this family's story together. I loved every single birth, and I loved the ability to connect with each mom and see that moment and be a part of their story in that way. And yet, after about a year and a half, I was like, wow, I just can't do this. It was a very clear recognition that my support of these families in this way was drawing from my availability to myself, to my young children, to my husband, even to my extended family, because I remember structuring and needing to change vacations because one of my clients hadn't given birth yet. It was a whole, like, it really extended out into a lot of people's lives. And while I know, and I'm so grateful for the people who have that very clear calling that birth is where I'm called, my midwives, all the home birth midwives, all of the doulas, all of the midwives, nurse midwife, like there are people who know that that is for them. And for me, it became very clear that I couldn't sustain that. And so, what a gift that I had been studying Ayurvedic postpartum care and understood how incredibly exciting and necessary this knowledge and awareness was for really changing people's experiences after birth. And so, I started really only doing postpartum care, whether it was, the whole spectrum of postpartum body work and the cooking and the herbal support and the consultation kind of all together, or whether it was this family is really looking for nutritional support, or this person is really looking for the body work only. I really made myself available for whatever was needed. And while that was so phenomenal because I was able to plan, I was able to schedule it, I was able to ensure that I had coverage and I eliminated that tricky piece of holding the uncertainty of being on call. And yet, I still was giving so much more than I actually had the capacity to do. For example, I remember cooking for hours for this family and delivering this food and checking in and giving the care and then coming home and realizing that I had no capacity. Not only that, I didn't even have ingredients to make food for my family. And I was like, wow, okay, this has to change. And, looking back, and I think now it's okay to like come to those reckoning moments. It's not that I've done a terrible job. It's not that, I messed up or failed in any way. It's that I got a clear understanding and I got it through recognizing what was not there. We have these two, when we experience something that we don't prefer, this is a two-sided experience. Yes, we experience the lack of something that's not there, but we also experience the clarity of what is it that I do want. And so that piece, that is the piece where the action can come in. That is the invitation to make a shift. And so over the years, we've been working with so many postpartum enthusiasts and passionate care providers who recognize, as I did, that the postpartum window needs to have as many people available to support as the birth window. This is a whole cycle of life here. And the postpartum window was really unknown at the time, and for many people still is. So, how can we create practices and postpartum support that allows us to give from a full cup, that allows us to not experience that burnout where we're like, oh, I cannot do this anymore. I have to stop. So, this is where that reciprocal idea comes in. And I want to invite all of us, especially during this season of light, the season of, waiting for that light to come back in this darkness, this season where we may be really, really feeling the heaviness that is the world at this time, wishing that we could really expand and give care to people and situations that are out of our reach. This is a time to tend that light within. And when we do so, our ability to keep showing up, our ability to continue to serve, our ability to use our creative energy to motivate us, to create an excitement and rekindle that passion for why it is that we do what we do, to ignite the connection we have with our loved ones, our children, our partners, our friends, our communities. When we tend to that light inside, The result is a reignition of everything that we experience. So let's talk a little bit about how we can reignite that light. Think of it as our Agni, our digestive fire in Ayurveda. This, it's not just about the food we eat. The Agni is present in every single cell in our body. We've got Agni in our mental processes. We've got Agni in our heart, the way we feel, the way we communicate, all of it. Let's tend to that. So what can we do? So one thing that I have started to do for the past few years, and I talk to my children about this. My husband and I were even talking about it last night as he's navigating a difficult situation. And so really thinking about bringing to the energetic forefront of every single day what it is that is most important to us. What is it we want to feel? What is it we want to happen? What is it we want to offer? Whatever is sitting in your heart and your mind, maybe it's something related to your business or something related to your relationship or something related to something happening in another part of the world that we want to give love to. This is the practice.
How are you sharing your gifts and passion for caregiving with others? In a world where education and awareness around the postpartum window is lacking or missing from our modern systems, we have a profound opportunity to shift that paradigm. You may be a few simple offerings away from making a truly impactful difference in the lives of mothers and families in your community. We are here to support your journey in the ways that work best for you. Schedule a conscious care strategy session to meet one-on-one with me, and let's identify the right next step for you to begin a path of conscious care for new families that fits your life and your needs. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session to schedule a time that works best for you. That's www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session.
The 5 minutes before you drift off to sleep every single night, and the 5 minutes before you get out of bed, where you're just coming into awake, you're just coming into consciousness. These two times are incredibly powerful times for intention, for creating the path forward to opening up to what is most important to you. And during this 5 minutes, give or take, sometimes for me it's longer, but during these windows of time, we are creating the feeling of what it is we want to experience, creating that love and wonder, that feeling of peace, that feeling of ease, that feeling of just perfect truth that we want to sit in. And sometimes for me, it's all about something my child is going through, and I'll be thinking about him and sending that feeling to him. Or sometimes it's, about somebody else. Sometimes it's about our family as a collective. There's no hard and fast rules here, except that we want to create the intention, create the feeling, and feel it, and surround that moment with everything about what it is that is most important. And what we find, and many people talk about this is a practice that sort of sandwiches our waking hours in the subtle vibration of the balanced experience we desire. So this is one. This is lighting that fire. This is helping you to remember always, every single day, every morning, every night, what is most important. It's like an anchor. It's an energetic vibrational anchor to help draw things back when we start to get distracted, when we start to go crazy on social media and like all of a sudden we've been on there for too long, when we start to feel the stress of things that are happening with other people that are starting to impact us, we have this ability to have done the work that is already anchoring us into what is truth for us. It's very simple. And sometimes for me, it's 5 minutes of a mantra that I'm working with, because that mantra is doing the work of bringing me back to where it is that I need to be. So the next thing is really bringing it back to a simple one thing at a time. So when we are not digesting food well, when we are burnt out, oftentimes our digestion is impacted. And the quickest way to boost our digestive fire, that Agni in our digestive system, is to keep it simple. Start to go back to, am I eating at regular times? Am I eating something that I actually can digest? Is this too heavy? Do I need something that's lighter? Can I put some digestive spices in here? How can I create an easeful way for my digestive enzymes to do the work to break down this food and serve me? So taking a pause and really looking at simplicity in our diet. The other thing is, whatever it is that we're doing, maybe 10 things do not need to be on my to-do list today. Maybe I need to just put three, and I need to intentionally slow down and keep it more simple, putting my full attention on it, maximizing it. The other piece of it is that it's so easy sometimes to kind of like breeze through the day and get fixated on like my productivity. I don't know if any of you experience this. My guess is that you do at times. And we're so fixated on what has to be done that I'm missing out on these incredible moments. And I had a really beautiful thing happen yesterday. And I was sitting at the table with my oldest son, who's 18, and he was wearing this beautiful kind of olive green sweater, and his eyes are hazel. And I looked at him and I was like, oh my gosh, like that is such a great color for you to wear. It's like making your eyes look really green right now. And we had this moment of like looking at his eyes. And my youngest son, who's 8, was over on the couch. And I was like, we were talking about eye color. And I went over there and I was like, hey, Lukey, come here. Let me look at your eyes. And I sat in front of him and I just looked really deeply at his eyes, because my kid's eye color has actually kind of changed over the years. But what happened is I sat and I just stared into his eyes for like almost a minute, just like taking in like the different nuances of his eye color. And I saw him like totally shift his energy. It's like that intention and love and connection that we had by my just looking deeply into his eyes created this whole shift. And I watched it happen. And he just kind of like, his body posture changed, and he just reached out and grabbed me around the neck and just gave me this huge hug. And it was such like an organic moment. It wasn't planned out, but I realized like in that one simple eye contact, slow moment, we opened up into this maximum place of love and joy. So eye contact, taking a minute and just really looking at the people that you're with, really seeing them. So, thinking about simplicity and our nourishment, thinking about slowing down, thinking about stoking that fire with deliberate moments. And the last thing I want to go into a little bit, because this is something that I've had to really learn over time. And it's not about like getting it down and figuring it out and having it done. It's about gaining the skill to discern when we need to shift. And this final piece is about authenticity and identity. In our practices, when we are giving, 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 when we may not feel comfortable prioritizing ourselves because we're just trying to do everything we can to do the best job for this family, for this client, and we give and we tend to overgive. And this is where the imbalance happens. If we look at Ayurveda, we are constantly trying to attain a more balanced place. And so you can notice when you start to feel that depletion, when you start to feel that dissatisfaction in your work, what's there that's not in balance? And so, what I invite us all to do is to move into greater authenticity and professional identity that is aligned in our unique practice. So, when I first was starting out, I didn't have examples of how to run a practice. And so, I completely designed my practice with the same structure that my teacher had. Now, my teacher was 2.5, 3 decades older than me. She had children who were grown. She was in a very different stage of life in a different part of the country. And I needed to learn through experience that her model wasn't my model. What she was offering wasn't what I should be offering in order to create a practice that really served my clients and my ability to do my job well. So, thinking about where are the places in my work where I feel most depleted? What are the parts of my day that are the hardest? Where are the roadblocks in my work? These are not meant to be plowed through and forced, because that is where we get fatigued and tired and want to stop. So when we can really listen to what the feeling is within us, it will guide us back to the authentic pattern and practice and structure and routine that will create a balanced place for us. And so maybe that means I am shortening my hours, or I am not offering this service anymore, and I'm going to focus on this and really expand that. Maybe it's I am going to take one client at a time for this type of work, and then I will fill in my schedule with these smaller services. It can be whatever we need it to be. Even if we are working full time, we can work towards creating a flow that supports us in avoiding those places that are draining us the most. Maybe it means we need a partner who can do this type of work over here, or a collaborator. Maybe it's creating support in this area. Maybe it's recognizing that our practice doesn't have to look like their practice. So I hope that through this exploration, we can collectively really lean into what is a beautiful, sustainable, fulfilling experience for me today, whether it's in my personal life, whether it's in my professional life. I really appreciate the opportunity to share about this, to talk about this. I'm right here with you. I am right on this journey with you. And as we move towards our own conscious postpartum care certification beginning this January, this is where we begin. This is where we begin the program, is really looking at the universal mother principles and how they are applied and experienced every single day in our relationship to self, in our relationship to clients, in our relationship to our family and our children. And how does that completely shift the way we experience everything, that we're able to expand into all the possibilities that are present in this moment. I wish all of you the most divine season of light. I wish for all of you a moment every single day of deepest connection, truth, and love. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of this community.
Shanti, Shanti.
The Center for Sacred Window Studies has been training postpartum care providers, professionals who work with new families, and individuals passionate about postpartum care since 2018. We regularly host live free events alongside our online and in-person training and certification programs. Hop on our newsletter list to get direct access to all of our events and community support gatherings. Our mission is not only in training conscious postpartum care providers, but in fostering a robust, informed, and thriving community of postpartum professionals. Once you step inside, you're family forever. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com to add your email to our newsletter list. You can support our work by subscribing to the Sacred Window podcast and sharing with someone you know who would love it. Thanks for being here and participating in the culture-wide shift that recognizes the need for and the importance of conscious postpartum care.